Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't already know, my name is Isokura Mela, and on this channel it's all about learning, growth and contribution. I really struggled with having to come and speak about this topic, and I feel like it was also sparked up by the fact that APC results came out. Congratulations to everybody that passed. You guys did absolutely amazing. To all of those that sent me a message to tell me about how the APC series was beneficial to your passing, or it also added on to your success, I really do appreciate it, and that is the goal. That is the contribution that I want my channel to do, is to give you encouragement and to show you that it's possible, not just in every season of your life where things are going amazing, but things are possible if you put your mind to it. Now, I think it's also important to shine a light on all those people that didn't pass the APC exam. And this is not necessarily just about the APC exam, but I just want to discuss and talk about failure as well as disappointment in general, you know. And I think it's very ironic for me to be shooting this video right now because I'm going through something, and I thought to myself, what do I have to offer in this moment when I really need the time to myself to recollect my thoughts, to see what needs to happen with my life? But what would my testimony be without me giving true experiences as to what is happening in my life, and also how I was able to overcome failure? Now, I know experiencing failure is not easy. I'm one that has walked through failure, and just to give you a backstory, when I started the CASA journey, that was not initially my plan. Like, I didn't wake up and I was like, yay, accounting, you're the one, I want to be in corporate. No, that was not my story. I stumbled into it, and so it was very difficult for me to like feel like I'm a part of it, you know what I mean? So especially when I'm somebody that's like very diligent in my work and very hardworking, I thought to myself, if I just put in the work, I should be able to make it, you know. And I did fail my first attempt at CTA, which is your postgraduate diploma in accounting, aka CTA. And that actually took a knock on me, and not just me in general thinking that like if you put the hard work, you're expected to pass. But failure has a way of like targeting your identity. I feel like I just came back from a funeral yesterday. And when I was at the funeral, I really had an epiphany, or it was one of those funerals where I really had to sit in my discomfort and my disappointment and actually recognize that we are burying somebody that has lived life, right? But in a way that to us feels like it was cut short or anything of that sort. Now, I'll bring it back into context as to why funerals, failure, disappointment all fall into the same bucket. But I feel like when I saw the funeral proceedings taking place and I witnessed what the pastor was saying, I kind of thought to myself, like, failure in life is a part of life, right? And the minute you pass on or go on to the next life, you are showered with incredible amount of love, where people are trying to give you your flowers, people are trying to talk about the kind of person that you are. And we had everybody going up saying the obituary, saying what type of impact that this person had on their life. And it made me think that with failure, right, it comes directly at your identity. And nobody spoke about, oh wait, in 2012 this guy went through this aspect of his life, or he stumbled when he was like 10 years old, or the time he hit 25, like his life was not making sense. Nobody actually remembers failure, but I think it's the memory of what he left and who he became while he was still alive that stood out to me and made me think of my own failures, and it made me think about my own disappointments that I'm feeling. So when somebody passes away, you experience those 5 stages of grief, right? The start of it is just anger. This was not supposed to happen. Why my family member? Like, why did I fail? Like, me, I am above this. You know what I mean? And you are so angry at the fact that like you just feel like this is not supposed to happen to me, you know. And funny enough, the pastor mentioned that if it wasn't this person, who did you guys want it to be? And I think that is direct reflection of what failure does. It makes us think, okay, but why me? You are so full of anger. And it boils down at the end to get to a point of acceptance, right? And I think this wrestling that we have of emotion, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? So if you're going through failure, there's nothing wrong with questioning, having feelings of emotions, of anger, of disappointment, of denial. But once you get to that stage of acceptance, it's much easier for you to pivot from that moment and realize, hang on, I don't necessarily have to stay in this place of failure, you know? And I think I've started realizing as I go about my life, failure doesn't necessarily set me back, but failure is a moment for me to pivot and to understand this one way of working, this strategy of life is not just the only way. There are different things that I can bring into the game right now, right? There's a part of me that died in the failure. That version of me cannot carry me through the next season of my life. Hence, I need to get rid of this, right? So just like a funeral where a person is passing away and you are grieving and you are in like severe rage and anger, and then you go through denial all the way up to acceptance. That is how you should treat failure. Yes, there comes that point where you're angry, you deny the failure, but once you get to that point of acceptance, you start realizing this failure is an opportunity for me to learn something, to understand that who I'm becoming in this process is how I'm going to experience the fullness of God, right? I feel like that version that I spoke about that failed is not necessarily your fullest self. And I remember when I didn't pass my first attempt at CTA, it really took a knock on me. And I feel like the devil tried to rob me or steal the word that God has placed into my heart that, you know what, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am more than capable to achieve my goals. I had a vision that I had for my life, you know, and having to experience that failure, I felt like that identity that I tied myself to was coming under attack. And I don't know if it's just me, but when things don't go my way, identity is the first thing that I think about. And I feel like I had to sit in this morning and think about what this word that the devil is trying to take for me is, you know. And I'm reminded of John that says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God, right? And I feel like when I think about that, I think about how something can be spoken into your life. You might have certain dreams and certain ways that you thought they would manifest. And because we don't live by our own will, we live by the will of God, and we live in a world that is driven by so many things, distractions, disappointment, failures, stepping stones, that sometimes we lose sight of actually what's actually happening, and we try to internalize all of it and think to myself, I'm not supposed to be experiencing this. This is not supposed to be my portion. That person, yes, but me, I am above this, you know, and we all have that moment. But I think the word, the identity that Satan tries to attack is the fact that you can step into this next full version of yourself. But if he can get you in that stage of anger, in that stage of denial, and keep you there, right? He can like root you with worry, with anxiety, with depression. That's where you start feeling like there's no way out for me. Like this is where it ends for me. And that's how a lot of people now in society, especially young people, are so overwhelmed by problems, because we all experience problems, but nobody ever is accepting of maybe the problem is trying to teach me something. Maybe the grief is trying to teach me something. Maybe this disappointment is trying to teach me something. Maybe this failure is redirecting me to where I was actually supposed to be. And I think once you start changing and shifting that narrative in your mind, it's going to be much easier to accept that this thing has happened to you. But I believe that life is not about the things that happen to you. It's about how you use those things that happen to you to progress forward, to push forward. What are you going to do with the things that happen to you? What are you going to do with this failure? Are you just going to give into it and stay in it and allow yourself to be taken by it and be taken by grief and anxiety and depression? And when I was at the funeral, I started like thinking about what the pastor was saying, and I by mistake, I say by mistake because I really feel like this word was for me and this video is also for me. I stumbled upon Matthew 6, and Matthew 6 talks about the cure to anxiety. Guys, I was so taken aback. I'm like, we live in a world of Google where we try to Google everything. We try to Google ways to like overcome anxiety. But to think that the word of God actually has a chapter called the cure of anxiety, I think I was taken aback. I'm like, I've been going through all of these emotions and wrestling of feelings that I really remembered that, you know what, I'm a spiritual human being having a human experience first. So God knows me. He knows how he created me. So if he knew that I was going to have anxious thoughts and be worried all the time, surely he gave me a chapter, and he did. So I'm quickly going to find it over here. It's Matthew 6:25, and it says, "Therefore I tell you, stop being worried or anxious, perpetually uneasy, distracted about your life, as to what you will eat and what you will drink, nor about your body as to what you will wear. Is life not more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father keeps feeding them. Are you not worth much more than they are? And who of you, by worrying, can add 1 hour to his life?" And I think that hit me so hard because I've been going through this cycle of questioning and thinking, where is my next going to come from? What is my next going to be? And what this passage is actually teaching us is that my source of provision is God. You know, birds represent freedom in my mind, and they represent the fact that they can do and fly and be wherever they want to be at any given time, not even worrying about where is my food going to come from? Where am I going to get my next meal? And I think in society, we are so focused on earthly things that when we fail, we start bringing into question, oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? How am I going to face the people at the office? How am I going to face my family? How am I going to like apply for my next job without this exam? How am I going to apply for the next aspect of my life without this certain designation? I feel like we go into so much questioning and we start worrying and being anxious, but God is basically saying he is the source of your everyday, right? Worrying is not going to add any more hour to your life. The most you can do is really accept this is what's happening and getting to a place of trusting and having faith that God is going to provide for you each and every day. You might not necessarily see it in the manner that you wish to see it, but I feel like if you took a moment and felt your feelings, get over the failure in the form of saying, go through the wrestling of the emotions, right? Go through the anger, go through the denial, but get to the place of acceptance as quickly as possible so that you can start pivoting and start seeing the beauty in life and start realizing that at the end of life itself, all of these failures, these setbacks, these disappointments, and who we became in that process, how we overcame them, how we leaned on our family support, on our loved one support, on our friends, that person that we became is what is going to be said about you, is going to be said about us, is going to be the impact that you are leaving behind. So I hope as you go through the season of disappointment and frustration and anger, that you take a moment to rest in God's goodness and faithfulness and understand that with every season you are learning something different, and be welcoming and accepting of different seasons and understanding that it's okay to mourn this version of you that you thought was going to sustain you, but you have not yet experienced the fullness of God. If you are still alive, right? If you still have breath within you, it means that your later days have more for you, and you have not necessarily met that version, but because God is the author of our life and he knows the beginning to the end, he knows what you're capable of and what you can handle. But I really hope that in the season, this message can encourage you, can make you feel inspired, can help you try again, can make you feel enthusiastic, and to understand that life is only momentary up until that very end moment where you really get to reflect on life and understanding this life thing is not as bad as it seems. This season, this trouble that I'm facing, it's not going to last forever. It's painful while it's happening, but it's a part of having the human experience and knowing that the glory of God is going to be your next. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, to comment, to share, and to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.